Hello and welcome back for the third video of our Investing Fundamentals series. And before I dig deeper into some financial metrics and explain how they work and basically make some videos about ratios and all that, I wanted to quickly make a video about some important concepts that you need to understand and are generally speaking economic principles and can be a little bit confusing, especially if you haven't sold any goods before in the past or if you haven't owned the business. There are some things like gross profit, net income, net profit, net earnings, all of these things, revenue, which can be a little bit daunting for people. I mean, it can be difficult to make out the difference. And generally speaking, when we're talking about gross profit or gross income, we're referring to the same thing. It's synonymous. For the most part, it's synonymous. Same with net income and net profit, net earnings. We're basically talking about the same thing. So you can think about it as being the same thing, really. However, there is a difference between gross and net. And there is a very easy way to remember the difference, really, if you think about the actual words, gross and net. So when we're talking about gross, we're talking about selling a product, the amount of money that we are getting back from that sale, minus the amount we spent to make the product. So our gross profit, let's say we made a product that cost us $10 for creating the goods. The goods cost us $10. It could be some product made of glass, for example. So it cost us $10 to make, and we sold it for $20. So now 20 minus $10 would be our gross profit. What we made minus what we spent to make it. And that's the gross. But when we're talking about net, is how much money we made overall. Because there are other expenses as well, administrative, taxes. So the bottom line, as we call it, the net income, is what we made at the end of the day, how much we net at the end of the day. And that's the key difference between these two metrics and the thing to remember. And the other thing that comes into play is revenue. And revenue is basically the amount we generated when we sold the products. That's all it is. It's a metric of how much money we made overall, without any distinctions in terms of how much we spent. So it's just the amount of money we made from operations and selling a product. And all these metrics apply to all sorts of companies, every company really. And you can see here in Investopedia some details about what each of these mean and what we discussed basically already. And it's critical to understand these concepts because all the income statements, the cash flow statements, everything that you see in terms of finances and financials of a company tie directly to net profits, net income, gross profits, and you kind of need to understand the difference between the two. And later on, when we're going to be talking about, for example, EPS, which is earnings per share, or for example, we may be talking about P/E ratio, which is price to earnings. So when we're talking about, let's say, EPS, earnings per share, we're talking about what is earnings. In that case, earnings would be the net earnings, the net income of the company. So how much money the company would be making after all expenses were accounted for. And obviously you can create it all sorts of different metrics. You could include gross profits per share, for example, if you wanted to. And so it's important to understand the distinction because now you know what we're calculating with. So remember, gross, and we can actually take a look at the exact definition here. Gross profit refers to the company's profits earned after subtracting the costs of producing and distributing its products. So yeah, that could also include, for instance, the sending of a product from, let's say, a product that you made in China and you send it to the US. That's also part of the cost of goods, really. And net income indicates a company's profit after all of its expenses have been deducted from revenues. So again, the cost of operations, the cost of taxes, all these things. And as it says here, is an all-inclusive metric for profitability, and it provides insight into how well the management team runs all aspects of the business, as you can understand, since it includes all the expenses. And as I mentioned earlier, is also refer the net income, and you may have heard me referring to that multiple times in my video as the bottom line, because it is the bottom line, is what for the most part investors would care about, because it showcases how much the company makes after all expenses are deducted. Not that other things don't matter as well, don't get me wrong. For example, revenue matters too. But for the purpose of the video, we want to understand what are the differences between these different metrics and what they mostly talk about. So armed with this knowledge, we can move on to the next videos and explain more about earnings per share, for example. And now it will make much more sense, because now we know what net income is and how we can use it for calculating this net income per share, which is also called earnings per share. And we'll do it in the next video, as you can understand. For now, thank you for watching, and hope that was interesting to you and you gained some knowledge with this one. And I'll see you in the next video of this playlist and this course about investing fundamentals. Remember to like and subscribe, because there will be more. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.